家都知道，瑞典是第一个同中国建交的西方国家，也是最早与中国签署经贸和科技政府间协定的西方国家之一，为中国的改革开放和现代化建设做出了重要贡献。
Sweden was the first Western country to establish diplomatic ties with China, and it was also one of the first Western countries to sign an intergovernmental cooperation agreement on trade and technology cooperation.
中瑞友好合作源远流长。260多年前，瑞典哥德堡号远航中国，开启了中瑞海上丝绸之路。可以说，这是中瑞乃是中国跟外部世界合作的一部佳话。我们两国的教育、科技、文化交流规模也不断扩大，两国政府间建立了教育政策对话机制和科技联委会机制。瑞典高校中国留学生去年底已经突破了9000人，是5年前的2倍多。文化节等人文交流项目，以及中国优秀文艺团体来瑞典演出，都受到瑞典民众的热烈欢迎。
The exchanges and cooperation between our schools, universities, and research institutes are flourishing. The cultural exchange programs, such as the Confucius Institute and Chinese Language Culture Festival, and performances by Chinese art groups, are also warmly welcomed and received by the Swedish public.
那么，纵观我们两国关系的70年发展的历史，友好合作始终是我们两国关系的主流。推动双边关系向前发展是两国人民的共同愿望。来自中瑞深化各领域务实合作，具有巨大潜力和广阔前景。
In the past almost 7 decades, friendship and cooperation has always been the mainstream of our diplomatic relations, and promoting further growth of our relations has always been a shared hope of our two peoples. There is great potential and bright prospects for deepening cooperation across the board.
你们来自瑞典各行各业、各个机构，因为在中国学习、工作、创业，与中国结缘，是一支推动中瑞友好合作关系发展的重要力量。
Coming from various sectors, common experience of studying, working, or starting a business in China, you represent an important force for friendship between our two countries.
你们中间还有许多年轻人，即将赴华留学和工作，更是未来中瑞合作的生力军。
Many of you are very young and are about to set on tour to study or work in China. You will add new momentum into this China-Sweden cooperation.
那么中瑞两国关系根基在民众，未来在青年。我衷心希望大家在各自领域发挥对华合作的引领作用，为推动两国关系发展不断注入新的活力和动力。
The root of China-Sweden relations is in our people, and the future will be carried forward by the young. I sincerely hope that you will play a leading role to promote China-Sweden cooperation in your respective fields, and inject new energy and vitality into our bilateral relations.
那么，希望瑞典中国校友会定期开展像今天这样的联谊活动，为大家开展对华合作交流搭建沟通之桥和机制化平台。我们使馆也愿意为大家开展这样的活动提供便利。
It is hoped that the China Alumni Association in Sweden will regularly hold activities like this and provide a channel and platform for cooperation and exchanges with China, and the embassy is willing to offer its assistance.
那让我们共同努力，不断开拓中瑞合作新领域，打造新平台，为促进两国友好合作关系发展贡献更大力量，造福两国和两国人民。
Let us work together to continue to open new areas of China-Sweden cooperation, build a new platform, and make greater contributions to friendship and cooperation for the benefits of our two peoples.
Here in Stockholm. And the next speaker, I would like to invite our founder and chairman, Juan. Welcome on stage.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm so happy to see that so many of you have come out today on this holiday, which is a red day in Sweden, and it's lovely weather, so I'm super happy that you want to spend this lunchtime with us. And a big thank you, of course, to the ambassador, Mr. Gui, and Consular Cao, Consular Dai, and the embassy. 非常感谢你们，感谢你们的勇气，相信我们的北欧和中国年轻人的那个远见，这个是我们一个很大的荣幸。 We have, as a matter of fact, 9 other cities in, around China, the Nordics, and our local teams that are watching us here today, because we hope that today will spark the beginning of a new tradition, where we will hold these kind of events in all the Nordic capitals that has Chinese embassies, as well as all the Chinese cities that has Nordic and Nordic embassies and consulates. So let's create some magic here today, so we can bring some inspiration to these people in these cities. And magic is what I think that this movement that Nordic China Startup Forum have been able to achieve. It's only been little than over 1 year since we started this, and we have already established ourselves soon in over 10 Nordic Chinese cities in 5 countries. This year alone, we're going to arrange some 50 events in all these cities together. And for November this year, we're actually taking the largest ever Nordic startup delegation in the history of Chinese-Nordic relations to China. So yes, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Simply because of the impact I know that this product could have. And I thought that in China I could reach more people. In China, there's 22 million pregnant women every year. So I thought with the first 5 years of my company, I could be able to reach over 100 million pregnant women. If you compare that to Sweden, we have 100,000 pregnant women every year. So I came to China the first time 2012. At the time, I didn't know anyone in China. I had never been to China before. I didn't speak Chinese. I just went there because I was so curious about the country, and I was very confident that my product would work, and that I could reach a lot of people. So I actually launched Bonsoon in Sweden only 10 months ago. So Sweden had to wait for a long time. And I wanted to share this with you because the room is full of young entrepreneurs. And if I could go to China without speaking Chinese, without knowing anyone, at the time I was also a single mom with 2 children. They were 4 and 5 years old, and I took them with me to China. And if I could go there and succeed, so whatever idea you may have, whatever you think that you can achieve, be sure that you can achieve it. When I came to China, I felt I got so much help and support from the Chinese community, from the Chinese government. Bonsoon got grants from the Shanghai municipality. We were Best Social Business 2015, and we got some monetary support, but they also paid for our offices for 1 year. And I think in Sweden we have so much to learn about how we can help entrepreneurs. And I felt that in China I got so much help and so much support, not only from the Chinese government, but also I got support from the Chinese universities, from the Chinese Midwife Association, from the Chinese Preventive Medical Association. And in the beginning, when I moved to China in 2012, I felt that I had this idea and that I could come to China with my brilliant solution and that I could inspire everyone in China. But actually what happened is that I got inspiration in China. So I think now, several years later, what I have in Bonsoon is a product where I've gotten so much Chinese inspiration. Because I think when it comes to innovation, China is so far ahead of us at the moment. Sweden is a very innovative country and we have so much creativity here. But right now in China, things are happening so fast, and technology is happening so fast, so I feel that we can also go to China and get so much inspiration from what's happening now.
The next up, we plan to invite the program director from the Swedish innovation agency Vinnova, Ciro. However, he couldn't make it to this event. So next up, we would like to welcome Ulf, who's Swedish Incubators and Science Park head for China department. Welcome on stage.
I'm so impressed by you people, the young people that are with your enthusiasm and with your minds focused on a relationship between Sweden and China. I would say for keeping Sweden on the top of innovation, we need you young people to do this trip. Without you putting your time, passion and effort into trying to bridge the differences between our countries in an open mind, I would say we could be quite helpless as a Swedish country. We are a small country and we depend on our global trade. When I look upon China, I've been working with China quite a long time. First, when I went there, I meet all these nice, kind people, always welcoming, always positive, trying to help you. But as a Swede, it's quite hard to understand why they do that. So you get a little bit skeptic sometimes. Why are they doing this? So you have a little bit hard to accept this kindness, and they don't usually ask anything back either. So this makes our Swedish culture a little bit suspective about how we do things. The other thing I can see is that when we do business and talk about the relations between Sweden and China, one of the most important things when you work with Chinese as a Swede, put your whole soul into it and your trust. You need to find the trustworthy people to work with. So if you do that, you have a help for all your life. So it will be very, very good life. In our organization, we have something like 5,000 companies and 72,000 employees that we work with. We try to create very innovative companies to go on a global market. And if we don't have any global market, we have worked a lot with European market, we have worked a lot with American market. Some of the things happening on the market today makes us a little bit vulnerable to just have one big market to work with. America is one of our biggest markets. Germany is of course the biggest, but America is a very important trade partner. We sell a lot to the Americans. We almost don't buy anything from them, but very little. But the difference between America and China is that we export quite a lot to China and import quite a lot. The trade between Sweden and China is in fact quite even. So I would say in the future, if we could do even better, I think the trade between Sweden and China can improve a lot. And my hope is in fact I put into your responsibility as a young people, because I think you are the ones that can solve this expansion of trade and relations between Sweden and China. Right now there's a lot of interesting talk between government Sweden and China going on, and there's a 70-year anniversary next year. And my hope is that we're going to see some interesting things happening between Sweden and China during next year. I'm also very impressed by the ambassador supporting this nice, fantastic student organization. I've been supporting this 3 years, something like that. So, and I really enjoy every moment with it. I'm always interested to talk to all of you, because meeting people is the way to make business. Talk and make connections.
We also would like to invite our last speaker, who's the president of Swedish International Students Association and alumni. Adrian, welcome on stage.
And I thought I'd just do a little brief recap over Nordic exchange relations throughout the times. In fact, they stretch back hundreds of years. One of the first Nordic exchange students that we are intimately familiar with is actually one of the most famous characters from Shakespeare, Hamlet. Hamlet was a Dane who was studying at Wittgenstein in Germany. Of course, he was forced to take an involuntary leave of absence, and things quickly went south from there. But after that, of course, back in those days, it was mostly the richest among us, the aristocrats, the kings that were able to really go abroad and get these experiences. During the 19th century, we saw more of a pan-Scandinavianism, with students from Norway, Denmark, and Sweden meeting up together to form these connections. There were barges headed from Lund to Copenhagen for parties during May Day season, and there were 1,000 students at one point meeting in Uppsala to discuss the possibility of a pan-Swedish union at some point. Then, post-World War II order, there were these exchanges that stretched more across Europe and, of course, the United States. My grandfather had studied English during high school and the early years of university. But for him, English was a dead language because he had never actually met someone who was a native English speaker until the end of World War II, when he finally got the chance to visit Birmingham. And he was so grateful to live in a world of peace and international connections, where those kind of meetings were possible. But of course, those kind of meetings were not just possible because individuals took the opportunity to make them. They were also promoted at the highest level of European governments with the Erasmus program, which to this day has sent millions of Europeans to other countries around the EU, fully funded by the European Union. So here is one of the most impressive peace-building programs in our times, the European Union, spending so much money on creating the opportunity for young people to study abroad and meet people from other cultures. I think they got that exactly right. At this point, some people estimate that there are between 500,000 and 1 million so-called Erasmus babies. That is, babies that have been born from the Erasmus programs from foreign students meeting each other. I don't think it's a coincidence that war in Europe today seems completely impossible. These are the connections that are being made, and the younger they are being made, the stronger they are, and the longer they last. And that brings us here today. It's wonderful to this incredible program, Juan. It's really wonderful to see what you've built here along with your team. And the work that the Chinese embassy and the Chinese agencies are doing, the Chinese universities, in providing grants, scholarships, opportunities for Swedish students to study in China are an incredibly important part.
William, what will be the next step? Because I like to end most of the events or like speeches or hearings with like a call to action. And what is the call to action that you take with yourself when it comes to doing something related to China and the Nordics, to entrepreneurship or to your own career?
To spread the Chinese-Nordic friendship amongst our personal networks, because all of us, we have broad personal networks, and to speak about Chinese culture, Chinese entrepreneurship, and how we can strengthen the relationship between China and the Nordic countries, that is something we all can do. And that is how it begins, to form a strong relationship between the two geographical regions.
I couldn't have said it better. Let's give them all an applause.
Thank you very much for your engagement, for your efforts, for everything you have done for today's. I think it's a very good meeting, very good communication, and I think we will continue. As the ambassador said, I would like to announce two things. The first one is that we will continuously do that and to make us gathering together to exchange ideas about China, to enhance the mutual understanding, enhance the collaboration between Sweden and China. The second one, we would like to offer to the students. We have some many programs of Chinese scholarships for you to study in China.